Look where you are. Strictly Strings, page 30. This is a big deal, kids. We've got ourselves the natural symbol, which is a canceling symbol. A natural changes any note back to how it began. So if we have an A, that's an A. It's also an A natural, because it hasn't been changed. We could have A sharp. We could also have A flat. Or we could have A natural. So now you get a new joke. Here's the note B. And you can tell your friends, don't be sharp, don't be flat, just be natural. Natural means unaltered or unchanged. It's the naturally occurring note. So when we see the symbol of the natural, which kind of looks like a lightning bolt, that means it's canceling something somewhere. That means maybe the key signature has a sharp, or maybe somewhere in the measure there was a sharp, and now that sharp has been gotten rid of, and we're back to just whatever the note might be. Just A, or just B, or just C, D, E, F, or G. Those are our options for natural notes, those 7 letters. Okay, so this book likes to help you out. You'll see that at the very beginning it says a reminder to place your finger higher or towards the bridge. So if you see an arrow pointing up, it's like, don't forget, we're at a higher note, so you want to make sure that you're reaching for that. Now that specifically applies for the violins and the violas, because violins and violas have low 2, high 2. Basses, you don't. You always have this. It's always space between your first and second finger. Cellists, you also don't have low 2, high 2. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're evenly spaced. You'll notice the distance between the fingers is even throughout. So you're just learning your second finger. You've already been using your third finger. Now the violins and violas, they know you need a little extra help. So when you have that low second finger, generally speaking, you're going to have contact with your first finger. When you have a high second finger, F sharp, C sharp, you're going to have contact with your third finger. So your second finger has to commit one direction or the other. It never, it never just hangs out in between the two fingers. That's the big new lesson of this particular page. Since it's so new, they're going to repeat it a lot throughout this entire sequence of exercises. So grab those instruments. Here we go. Page 30, number 1. First, we have to look at the key signature, because naturals mean we have to pay attention to what the key signature is doing. We always really should. But now it's especially important because if you don't know there are 2 sharps, then why would there be a natural? So if we look in the key signature, we see 2 sharps. We have F sharp and C sharp. This is something you learned way back in the early pages of the book. So if we look at the notes, we have A, B, C sharp, C natural. That natural is there because it has to cancel the sharp from the key signature. Notice the C sharp was a C sharp without a sharp symbol next to it because of the key signature. So we have to pay attention to the key signature so we know which notes are altered. So when we see a natural, we'll be like, great, that sharp is now gone for that particular note in this particular measure. Looking at the B section, you have A, C sharp, A, C natural. And you might think to yourself, you just told me, Mr. K, the 2 sharps, unnecessary to write a sharp symbol in the music. It's true. We could have just had C sharp with no sharp symbol and we would have played C sharp because of the key signature. They put that sharp in there just to remind you because it's a new idea and they want to make sure you understand that it goes back to a C sharp, and they're hoping a teacher will remind you that it goes back to C sharp with that symbol in the book. Now if you look at section C, we get a bunch of interesting ideas. We have A, B, and then we have C natural. Now, if you want to have C sharp after C natural, then yes, you do have to put a sharp symbol because that natural is powerful enough that it can last the entire measure unless there's a sharp symbol to once again turn that C into a C sharp. So we have A, B, C, C sharp, high D. Notice that's a C sharp without the symbol because of the key signature. And then C natural, and then A. Reading through that, you can see the natural symbols and you can see how the key signature impacts those notes. What do you think we're going to learn in number 2? The exact same thing. Look at the key signature. How many sharps? 2 sharps. That's right. F sharp and C sharp. Now in the A section, notice there's a little arrow for the violins pointing up and a 3rd finger for the cellists and a 4th finger for the basses. They're worried you forgot about the key signature. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't forget. You know about key signatures and you know how to apply them. So in the first section, number 2A, we have C sharps. High 2nd fingers for the violins and the violas, 3rd finger for the cellos, 4th finger for the basses. A, C sharp, A, C sharp, A. Now look at the B section. Do you see a natural? Yeah, of course you do, because they're teaching you about C natural. Do you see a downwards arrow, violins and violas? Of course you do, because they're reminding you, hey, you no longer have high 2, you have low 2. Your 2nd finger is going to come in contact with your 1st finger to have a nice C natural. For the cellos and the basses, you see the number 2, which means that cellists, you're not having high or low 2, you just get to use your 2nd finger. Basses, you don't have high or low 2 because your distance is always massive because your instrument's massive. 1st finger B to 2nd finger C, about 1.5 inches away. Notice there's only one natural symbol. You only have to have one. Do you remember the rule? I do. The natural symbol is so powerful it lasts the whole measure. That's right. You remembered. The natural symbol is so powerful it lasts the entire measure. So here's the B section. Ready? A, C natural, A, C natural, A, 2, 3, done. The natural lasts the entire measure. Look at section C. What'd they do for you? They added the sharp. They did. They thought you might forget. Okay, how nice. It's called a courtesy accidental. They are courteous in reminding us, hey, 2 sharps in the key signature, don't forget. Cellists, you have the challenge of not only learning this key signature, but shifting. You've already learned to shift, but not necessarily in this position in this way. So you're shifting from 1st finger B, and then you're shifting your hand down to 1st finger C sharp. So where you'd normally put your 3rd finger, you're now putting your 1st finger. So you have 1st finger C sharp, and then right next to it, 2nd finger D, and then 4th finger E. Basses, no need to shift, but they put that 4th finger in there as a reminder that you've got to reach for that high C sharp. Now they don't put C sharp in that 2nd measure of section C because they've already done the courtesy of reminding you, and now it's your job to remember it's a C sharp because of the key signature. So here's section C. A, B, C sharp, D, E, D, C sharp, B. And it repeats. There's 2 C sharps in there. Now the D section, it's almost exactly the same. But what did they change? Again, they changed the sharp to a natural. So you have a C natural in the 1st measure of the D section and a C natural in the 2nd measure of the D section. They have to put a natural each time because the key signature is so powerful it impacts the entire piece of music. The natural can only impact an individual measure, so they have to put it both times. Notice, cellists, you still shift, but it's different. You have 1st finger B, 2nd finger C natural, and then you shift and put your 2nd finger on high D and your 4th finger on E. Basses, no shifting needed, just your nice high big 2nd finger for C natural. The D section sounds like this. A, B, C, D, D, C, B. Nice C naturals both times. Now you can play the entire exercise and just practice doing high 2s and low 2s, 3rd finger, 2nd fingers, 2nd fingers, 4th fingers, practicing a shift. Lots of great things to work on. But we're going to keep working with just this one major concept, which is the new natural C natural on the A string. Looking at page 30, number 3, look at the key signature. How many sharps? 1. What sharp is it? F sharp. That's right. So what's not sharped? Everything else? Yeah, but what do you normally play sharped? C sharp. Uh-huh. But not this time, do you? Oh. Why? Because there's only one sharp? That's right. You did it. You did it. There's only one sharp. It's F sharp. So on the D string, you're going to have F sharp, but on the A string, you'll have 2nd finger C, You don't have to say C natural because it just is the note C. I'm going to say the word natural just to kind of remind you. But again, it's a reminder. Just like they put that second finger in for the cellists and the arrow pointing down for the violins and the violas. Now basses, you lucky kids, you get to shift. You're on the G string, you play open G, first finger A, fourth finger B, and then you shift to first finger C, and then you put your fourth finger down for high D. Now you're very comfortable playing second finger C sharp on that shift. Now you get to play first finger C, second finger would still be C sharp, but then you put your pinky down for fourth finger D. This is a skill that you've practiced a lot since the beginning of the book. So let's go ahead and play. Page 30, number 3. Do what you need to do. You might just need to say the note names and get comfortable with the key signature, but I'm going to go ahead and play through it, and you can go ahead and join me. Ready? 2, ready, and D, E, F sharp, G, G, F sharp, E, D, G, D, G. Let's keep going. Here's the B section, and G, A, B, C, D, C, B, A, G, D, G. I told you I'd say natural. I didn't do it. I'm curious. I wonder if you played it, however. And if you did, congratulations. That means you're reading the key signature and you're applying that key signature to the notes on the page. Good job. Well, it just continues. Look at Slavonic folk song. You've got 1 sharp again. Now, we know the strategy of this book, so I bet there are some C naturals in this exercise. And there it is. The 6th measure. We have arrows pointing down for the violins and the violas. We have second finger for the cellists. And we have a shift marked for the bassist with a 4th finger high D and a 1st finger C. There is our C natural. But we have to remember, on the D string, those F sharps have to still be high. Basses reach with those 4th fingers. Cellists reach with that 3rd finger. Violins and violas reach with that high 2nd finger. It's now your job to designate which finger and which position that finger is in based on the sharps in the key signature. Pretty exciting stuff. Now, we haven't had this experience yet, but do you remember DC al fine? That means Batman. It also means go back to the beginning and end at the fine. So I'm going to give an example of the entire piece of music. Feel free to play along with me. The first time I do the repeats, I'll play forte. The second time I'll play piano. Remember to notice the LH for lower half. And here we go. 1 sharp in the key signature. Slavonic folk dance. 1, 2, ready, and G, G, F sharp, D, G, G, F sharp, D, E, E, F sharp, G, repeat, piano, G, G, F sharp, D, G, G, F sharp, D, E, E, F sharp, G, forte, here comes C naturals, ready, G, B, B, D, D, C natural, A, G, B, B, D, D, C natural, A, D, C, all fine, go back to the beginning, G, G, F sharp, D, G, G, F sharp, D, E, E, F sharp, G, G, and the word fine means end. And there's a DCL fine for Slavonic folk song in the key of G major. 1 sharp, meaning all Fs are F sharp, but the new concept of, well, if there's only 1 sharp in the key signature, we have to remember that our Cs are no longer C sharp. They're just C or C natural, since those are the same thing. Let's keep going. Page 30 has 2 tunes on here, Snake in a Basket and Theme from First Symphony, which are very famous. And they're very famous for using this sort of minor quality tone. It's going to be very sort of sad sounding because of the minor quality. If you look at Snake in a Basket, how many sharps do you see? None. That's right. Everything is natural, just like the Lego movie told us. Everything is natural. Everything is as written. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. There are no altered notes. No C sharps, no F sharps, nada. It's always low second finger for the violins and the violas. It's always second finger for the cellists, and it's always a big reach second finger for the bassists. So let's just say the note names first. You ready? A, B, C, B, A. A, B, C, E, B, C, A. C, D, E, 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 D. B, C, D, 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 C. A, B, C, B, A. A, B, C, E, B, C, A. First step, you've got to be comfortable reading all those notes in the A string, including E, which is a newer note, although we have played it since page 25, where we've had fourth finger E's were involved. So for 5 or 6 pages, we've been playing the fourth finger E. Next challenge, we're dealing with slurs. We're dealing with eighth notes and rhythms. So you might consider air bowing. You might consider clapping the rhythm. You might consider doing lots of those things before you try playing the entire piece. But I can guarantee you, every time that you move up to a fourth finger, your second finger will want to join back to what a C sharp feels like, because you've played lots of C sharps. So you have to be very, very active in your mind. Every time that you see a C, make sure that it's a second finger if you're a cellist, a second finger with space if you're a bassist. And if you're a violinist or a violist, we have B, C smushed together, space to high D, space to E. That's a challenge. Your second finger is going to want to join your third finger high D, because that's what it's used to. Let's do Snake in a Basket one more time. I'll go slowly. I'll say the note names, and you can either pizzicato, air bow, say the note names, clap, or play along. Remember, you can always stop the video, rewind, and do it again. Here's Snake in a Basket. 1, 2, and 3, and A, B, C, B, A, slur. A, B, C, E, B, C, A, slur. C, D, E, 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 D. B, C, D, 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 C. A, B, C, B, A. A, B, C, E, B, C, A. Now, even though I've told you about C naturals and that everything is low, your second finger will have changed, or sometimes cellos, you'll throw in your third finger down throughout this piece, and it'll sound like this. It's going to sound major, it's going to sound happy, it's going to sound energetic. Making sure that you're playing the correct note will make sure that you're playing the style of music and the character of the music written by our composer. That's Snake in a Basket. Now look down at Theme from First Symphony. What do you see in that key signature? Yeah, 1 sharp. Which one is it? F sharp. That's right. Which means what if you're thinking about what these teachers are trying to do with this method book? It means on the D string, you're going to have your F sharp, or your high second finger if you're a violin viola, third finger cello, fourth finger bass. And then on the A string, you're going to have your low second finger C natural. But you will not see a natural symbol. How come? Well, there's only 1 sharp in the key signature. So every F has been changed to F sharp. But every C is just C. So you don't need to have a natural in the measure to play a C natural. You just have to remember there's 1 sharp in the key signature. That means except for F sharp, everything else is natural. So let's do Theme from First Symphony. You do you. Stop the video, rewind, say the note names, clap the note names, air bow the note names. Make sure you're doing the slurs. Make sure you're noticing the piano and the forte. Make sure that you're reminding yourself of the key signature and the notes that jump from string to string. But if you're ready for a straight playthrough, I'll play Theme from First Symphony. Ready? 1, 2, ready, and go. E, F sharp, G, F sharp, E, E, F sharp, G, F sharp, E, G, A, B, G, A, C, B, A, G, F sharp, E. B, C, B, A, G, F sharp, E. E, B, E, B. And then it repeats. Hard to make those second fingers change from high to low if you're a violinist or a violist. Also hard to break the habit of always playing third finger on the A string if you're a cellist. Also tricky for the basses because you have to shift from the second finger B to fourth finger C to make sure you're moving just a little bit from first position to second position. This is a big piece of music, but the main skill set that you're trying to learn from page 30, notice the key signature and make sure that you've learned this new concept of the low second finger on the A string, which is C, otherwise known as C natural. Good job working through all of page 30. It's a big page. Realize, please, that if you did the entire video in 21 minutes, congratulations, but you probably need more time on every exercise to make sure that you're doing everything correctly. Stop the video, take time, work on just small sections of music. Say the note names, just air bow, just clap. Whatever you're doing, you want to make sure that you're just constantly making correct progress. So make it simple enough that you can do it correctly multiple times in a row. Positive repetitions lead to positive results. Thanks for watching, thanks for trying, and thanks for putting in the effort. And remember, if you practice every day, by the end of the year, you'll be taller.